So I say it all the time, socks are my favorite thing to knit. Hi, I'm Jenny Fish. Welcome to our 1, 2, 3 knit cuff down socks with me knit along. I'm so excited to get started on this project. I want to go ahead and talk to you about supplies. Basically, any sock yarn will do. We've got the Universal Yarn Uni Merino. This is a full size, and then we have a bunch of these little minis. And I love these because they come in so many different colors, and a little bit here and a little bit there. You can mix and match like we have on these socks here. Super fun, easy, and you can just add a little punch of color here and there, and then you can get a main color as you go along. Now the fiber content of here, 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, which is absolutely perfect for socks. You want a little bit of that nylon in there to give it some strength and structure because you're going to be wearing these and walking on them, so that nylon helps them not wear out as fast. So that's sock yarn. Any sock yarn will do. Just definitely make sure that you get that nylon in there to help with the structure. I use a US size 2 knitting needle, and then double pointed needles. That's this right here. I'll show you how that works. These have points on both sides, and you can use 4 or 5, whichever you prefer. I like to use 5, and I'll show you that as we go along. Or you can do 2 circular needles where you have 2 of these and side by side. And I'll give you an example of that as we go along. But that is the needles that I use, a US size 2. And my favorite extra tool is the sock check. This has a ruler on it. You can put your foot down, measure the foot, and then you can figure out and adjust what size you want your either your foot of your sock or even the length of the leg of the sock. This can be used for toe up or cuff down, either way. And then we have this little Kitchener Stitch little cheat guide over here to help you out when you're grafting toes. And in the middle here is a needle gauge, so you can stick your needle through there to double check what size knitting needle you're using, or crochet hook. There's also the letters on there for crochet hook. But this little guy right here travels in my stuff, in my sock bag all the time. Very handy. And then when we're all done, we can block our socks with the One Big Happy adjustable sock blockers. Here are these. And this right here has different shoe sizes, and you just slide that in there for whatever shoe size you're making your sock. You just slide it in there, and then pop it in, slide your sock on, and you're good to go. So those are my tools and notions, besides the regular scissors, tapestry needle, measuring tape, row counter, you know, all the normal stuff. Those are supplies. Now I want to talk about the pattern. I'm super excited about this pattern. I've said this before in other sock videos and knit-alongs where I look at a sock pattern like a recipe. And this one is intentionally set out to be like a recipe. So we have 3 different cuff, 3 different heel, and 3 different toe instructions. So you can mix and match, and the options are unlimited on how you want to make your socks. But that's how this pattern is set up. You'll be able to select the cuff, the heel, and the toe that you want to knit. And that makes me super excited because it's like numerous patterns all in one pattern. So to start off, we're going to start off with the cuff. These are cuff down socks, and we're going to be knitting the 1x1 rib. Now, for all of these, use your favorite cast on. If you want to use a stretchy cast on where you do backward flip, feel free to do that. I like to use a long tail cast on, but I also like to do double needles. So I put my needles side by side. Let me grab my yarn here. So I just make a slip knot, and then I have doubled up, I'm using magic loop, so I've doubled up my needles. I slide it through my slip knot, just like this, and then I just do a regular long tail cast on. And what that does is it gives me a little extra space in that first stitch to keep it loose. So I'm going to go ahead and cast on. There's 3 different sizes in this pattern, and it will give you how many stitches to cast on for each size. We have women's adult medium, large, and extra large. The women's medium is comparable to a child size, and the women's extra large is comparable to a man's small, medium-ish size. So that'll help you. It also gives the circumference, so you can measure the person's foot that you're going to be knitting the sock for and get a good gauge on the circumference of their foot, and then match that up with the size that we have listed in the pattern. As far as the length of the foot, that's where you use your sock check, and you'll know how far to knit the length of the foot. And then for the leg, that's up to you. You can make them as long as you want. So I'm going to go ahead and just get a few stitches cast on here. We are doing the 1 by 1 ribbing. So I've doubled my needles, I've cast on stitches. What I'm going to do is pull one out, and then I'm going to slide this to my cord because this is magic loop. Then I bend my cord in half and slide that through. So then I'm set up. Make sure that I don't have any twists. So make sure these go all the way around here. None of these are twisted. They're all lined up together. Push them to the end of my needle. Now I'm ready to start knitting. Now this is magic loop. This is going to be my beginning of the round. If I was using double pointed needles, I might want to clip in after I get this first round done, but I might want to clip in a locking stitch marker to notate that this is the beginning of my round. But because I'm doing magic loop and I have my tail that's going to hang out down here, I know this is going to be the beginning of my round on this side. So I don't always put a stitch marker there. Okay, 1 by 1 ribbing. Let me show you, super simple. You knit the first stitch and you purl the second stitch. And then you knit and purl all the way around. You just keep knitting and purling and knitting and purling all the way around. Just like that. Now let me show you on the finished sock what that looks like. Here is my sock with the 1 by 1 ribbing. Super stretchy. Really like that. It helps you get it up over your foot. So that's the 1 by 1 ribbing. Now I also want to show you how we knit the 1 by 1 ribbing using double pointed needles. Let me pull this out here. This is just a little sample. Like I said, I've got 4 needles. I have divided my stitches by 4, so there's an equal amount of stitches on each needle. Sometimes people will put one whole side on one and then have these 2 and knit with the 4th one. It's personal preference, whatever you find more comfortable for you, but this is how I like to do it. And I bring in my 5th needle. Now with double pointed needles, one of the things I want to point out is where these 2 needles meet, sometimes you'll get an extra gap through here. And you'll see these little ladders forming where you don't want them to. A little trick that I do to clean that up is when I make the first stitch, I kind of just knit it a little bit normal. But then when I go to the second stitch, oh, yep, we're doing 1 by 1. So I'm purling this one. When I slide my needle through that purl stitch, I do a little extra tug, and that will kind of cinch that up. Then I knit that purl stitch, and then on the 3rd stitch, I'll do another little extra tug, and then just keep going. Just that little extra tug seems to kind of close up that ladder that forms in between those needles. And it works on magic loop too. When you're going from side to side, you can just do that little tug there for the... Usually I knit the first stitch normal, and then the 2nd and the 3rd stitch, I'll kind of do that little tug. So as I'm knitting along on this needle, I'm still doing my knit 1, purl 1. And I want to show you what happens when I get to the end of that needle. Okay, so I've knit all the stitches off of this needle. That's great. Now I'm gonna drop that, and now I'll start knitting with the needle that I just cleared all the stitches off of. And then here is my locking stitch marker to remind me this is the beginning of my round. You just keep going around and around. Once your cuff is about an inch, inch and a half, or whatever you prefer, you're knitting this sock for you, so, or for a family member, but you're the one knitting the sock. You can determine how long you want your ribbing to be. Just be sure, here's an insider tip, write it down somewhere, write it on a pattern, because by the time you get to your second sock, you might have forgotten. So just, maybe do a little stitch or row, count your rows, write it down, make notes, because when you go to make your second sock, you're going to want those details. Even if you can promise yourself, I'm going to remember, you don't. It just happens. Okay, so that's the 1x1 ribbing. So next, I want to show you the garter ridge edge. So for the cuff number 2, the garter ridge edge, go ahead, cast on like I showed you before, and then we're going to knit 1 round, purl 1 round, knit 1 round, purl one round, because in order to make garter stitch in the round, you knit and then purl. It's not like when you're knitting flat where you knit both sides. Because you're always working on the same side, you have to knit 1 round and then purl 1 round. And you do that 2 rounds, or 4 rounds technically, and that is in your pattern, but I'll show you what that looks like here. I'm going to go ahead and join in the round by knitting this first stitch. Make sure I don't grab my tail. Another little trick that I have for my tail is I like to go ahead and put like a slip knot in it. So that way I don't grab it, I'll feel that knot. I like to leave long tails as I work through projects. I've noticed the more I've knit throughout the years, the longer my tails seem to be. I just like having that extra yarn there. Okay, so we just knit. Knit all the way around for the first round. And I'll show you how we work that when we get to the end of this side, because this is magic loop. And if you need a little bit more information on magic loop, we do have a stitch support video, so you could go ahead and check that out. I'll put a link up at the top for you so you can dive into if you need a little bit more magic loop information. But when I get here to this side, okay, then I'm gonna carefully pull this. I turn over. I push this needle in and pull this needle out. And then I just pick up and start knitting. And knit that first stitch. And then on the second stitch, do a little tug. Third stitch, do a little tug. That helps us not get those letters. And then I'm knitting. Okay. Now I do have a little bit of a gap here as I'm turning over. That's going to close up when I start knitting the next round. So again, the same as before, we're pushing this needle in and pulling the back needle out. Now we need to purl around. So I want to make sure I've got everything where it is. I don't have anything wrapped around my cord because then I could accidentally put an extra stitch in there. It's hanging down. I am ready to purl. So slide in here, bring the yarn around, purl that first. Now do my little tug on the second stitch, do another tug on this third, and then just go ahead and I'm going to purl all the way around. Then I knit 1 round, purl 1 round, and that makes the garter edge, the garter ridge edge. Let me show you what that looks like when it's all done. On this sock here, I have, this is the garter ridge. Once I've done that, then I just simply knit. That's rows, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5 through 9. You just knit straight stockinette, knit each stitch, and that's what gives you your garter ridge edge. Okay, so that's what this looks like here. And then you just continue on. And then you can continue in the same color, or you can change out your color at this point. And in the pattern, it'll also let you know, here is, if you want to change color, where you change color. Now I'm going to show you the Picot edge. This one I really love because it reminds me of my childhood. I had so many socks as a kid that had this little Picot edge. I have to show you what it looks like first so you have this visual so you can knit along with me and remember those memories. Oh, I loved my little socks like this, and they also, you know, the little booty socks with the Picot edge. So that's these little points right here. Super easy to make. And I also want to show you the inside because that's the beauty of it. See this right here? That's how we make. And I'll show you how we do that. Okay, so the Picot edge, I've gone ahead and cast on like you've seen me do before, and I've knit 5 rounds of stockinette. That's what I have here on this little sample. Now what we want to do is make some little holes in the fabric. That way, so we'll make a row of holes, basically. Then we'll knit another 5 rounds of stockinette, and then we're going to bend it in half. And that's what gives us those little peaks. Well, I'll show you how we do that. First off, we want to knit 2 together, and then yarn over, and we'll do this all the way around. Knit 2 together, that's a decrease. Yarn over, that's an increase, but that's also making that little hole. And knit 2 together. So go ahead and continue that all the way around, and then knit 5 more rounds of stockinette, and then it's going to look like this. I have another little sample ready here. These are the little holes. Now see, you can already tell if I bend this in half, you see those little peaks right there? That's what we want. Now, how do we connect the cast on to where we are now to get that pretty little line that I was showing you in here? Super easy, super simple. What we're going to do is fold in on itself. Let me get my yarn out of the way here. Then I'm sticking my needle into the first stitch, and then I'm coming back here where my cast on is, and I'm lining it up. This is where I cast on. I can tell there's my knot from my slip knot, so I know this is my first one. Great indicator to line those up. I slide it through there, and then I just knit just like that through both of them, and that seams that up. Go through here, come back around, go through the next, and knit those 2 together. Go all the way around. Okay, so if you struggle with that, I have a DPN here. What you want to do is you're going to be knitting through the 2 strands of your cast on, and I'll show you what those look like right here. See that right through there? Can you see those 2 legs? Right through there, right through there. So sometimes if it's a little hard to find, you can stick your double pointed needle in there, then hold the 2 needles together, and then it's like a 3 needle bind off without binding off. It's like knitting 2 needles together. You get the idea here. Go through the stitch that's on your active needle, and then now because I've put that double pointed needle in there, I can just go through those 2 legs of that cast on and then knit those 2 together, just like that. And try that again. Whoops, I dropped a stitch. Pick that up, make sure I don't split it. There we go. Okay, go through this one, go through this one, knit those 2 together, just like that. And then I'm going to slide through here. Again, I can use my double pointed needle. Can you see this? Just to pick up the legs of that cast on. right through there. And then put the needle through there. Knit those two together. Just like that. Nice and pretty. And you go all the way around, and then it'll look like this. And your inside will look like that, nice and pretty. And that is the Picot edge. So those are the 3 cuff options that are in the pattern. Okay, so that's how you do the Picot edge. We have learned 3. We have the 1x1 rib, we have the garter ridge edge, and the Picot edge. Those are the 3 cuffs. Yay, we're done. So thank you for joining me for episode 1 of the 1, 2, 3 knit cuff down socks with me. Join me for episode 2 when we're gonna go over 3 different heels. You can pick up a kit at onebighappy.com. The kit has all the yarn and the pattern, or you can just pick up the pattern and pick out your favorite sock yarn. There's so many to choose from. Thank you so much. Happy knitting.